why are you getting so close? Before we pull up to a mailbox, inches away from that mailbox. Not every time I get out there, look how close you are. If you turn your wheel, you will hit that mailbox. You will hit that truck. So I want to demonstrate that. That's it. Well, you gotta stop smoking now. Yeah, okay, just stop smoking now. Huh? Oh.
Aí, ó, o cara fez a curva, devia estar no celular, gente. Não prestou atenção mesmo, conseguiu chapar o poste aqui no meio do pátio.
We're going to take a few minutes today to talk about the placement of the sliding tandem axles on our trailers, especially as it relates to local pickup and delivery operations. Many of our P&D drivers automatically move the axles all the way to the front position when you start your day, probably because it allows for turning in tighter spaces, which of course it does. The downside of having the axles forward is that there is a very long overhang behind the axles, and that overhang swings out to the outside of a turn when we maneuver. This can be especially dangerous in tight clearance situations and has in fact caused several accidents in the recent past. Let's take a look at this short video clip that shows how that occurs. When the axles are forward and you make a turn in tight clearance situations, that overhang can swing out several feet and bang, hit a car or a wall or sign or even a building and cause significant damage. Remember, in this illustration, those axles are all the way forward on the trailer. On the other hand, if we move the axles to somewhere near the middle of the adjustment range, let's say about 10 holes back from the front, the overhang is much less and swings out very little when making the same turn. In this illustration, as you can see, the axles are 10 holes back from the front, more nearly to the middle of the adjustment range. Now, of course, occasionally we do need that maneuverability, and of course you can slide the axles for those times, but 95% of the time we can do quite well with the axles in the middle. Yes, the turning radius of the trailer changes a little and it tracks a bit farther inside of the tractor. But remember this, you can see the trailer tires. You can keep an eye on them. You can make adjustments to your turn or even stop if you need to. On the other hand, you can never see the overhang of the trailer. It's always in your blind spot. You're always turning away from it, and that's when it gets us. So let's try it. Put the axles in the middle, start about 10 holes back, and only move them forward if you absolutely